What is going on, everyone? It is Angry Gamer Online, and today you join us as we are testing the new Coquette Classic and the Stinger GT. So first off, we have got a drag race. We're right into it today, and as you can see, the Coquette Classic is absolutely monstering it. This car is so far ahead by the end, it is unreal. It is not even a contest. Now, I thought the Stinger was fast for a Classic, but obviously it is not. As we can see, the Coquette Classic absolutely hammered the Stinger in that test. The Stinger was a couple of seconds behind. So now we're going to move on to see which of these two classics can do the best donut. We are looking for a uniform circle. We want to see a proper circle formed here, and as you can see, the Coquette Classic is a little bit raggedy here. We're not getting a good circle here. It's more of like a flower shape, so they're sort of donuts, but they're not brilliant, and we're not getting a lot of tire smoke or anything. So they're decent, but they're not the sort of donuts that we're looking for here. So now I'm going to get out and I'm going to get into the Stinger GT, and we're going to see how the Stinger fares. And now the Stinger is tire smoking a little bit more. We've got more smoke coming off the tires, and the donuts are much more uniform. As you can see, there is a definite circle and definite pivot point within the centre of the circle, so the Stinger GT wins this round by quite a long way because it's just doing better donuts, they're more controllable. So that round has definitely got to go to the Stinger GT. And now we're going to see which car has the best sound. That is a very important test for these sports classics. Now, I was quiet there for a second whilst the car was revving its engine, and now onto the Stinger. Now, this round for me has got to go to the Stinger. Some people may disagree, but on that test I'm definitely going to give that round to the Stinger. And now obviously the most important test, which one of these two cars is the fastest. So first off, we're going to send the Coquette Classic. Now, this car I think is actually very, very difficult to handle. There is quite a lot of body roll, and the front wheels especially are very, very thin, so you've not got that much traction when trying to turn. So I was often a little bit tentative going into corners. However, I think we did manage to get a good lap time in, and as you can see, the front wheel did lift off there, so we were a little bit out of control. And as you can see, this car is extremely tail happy, so I'm constantly fighting to try and keep control of this car and stop it from spinning out. That means that I'm not on the throttle quickly after coming out of a corner, so we are losing time there. Now, even there, I had to lift off, had to pull the brakes a little bit, and here we are almost out of control. And the whole way around, I am fighting this car to try and keep control, try not to completely lose the back end and spin this car out. That would be a disaster. So even there, I am hitting the brake a little bit. I am very, very nervous about this car spinning out. You will also notice that I don't cut the corners anywhere near as much because there is such a high chance of the car sliding on the looser gravel. So the lap time is, I was really surprised with how fast this car went, because I know for a fact I wasn't going particularly quickly in the corners. However, this car is ridiculously fast in a straight line. And now this was a nightmare of a corner. You really did have to slow down a lot to get it around that corner. And then onto this section. This section was also fairly difficult. The car was quite tail happy at these sections, so I'm constantly fighting to try and keep control of the car. I wasn't really accelerating up there. And on that corner, I decided to try and fling it into the corner a little bit, get a bit of a slide on, and that paid off quite well. And then around that corner, once again, very, very tentative indeed. We will find the times out in a second. And now for the Stinger GT. And as you'll notice, the Stinger has changed colour. That's because I'm using my personal vehicle here, not my friend's, who I was using to compare it with. Now, immediately, I think the Stinger is a lot easier to handle. It doesn't roll as much, the body doesn't roll as much, and it's not as tail happy. It is still very tail happy, but it's much more controllable. So I felt that the Stinger was going to be faster, and you'll find out in a minute which one of the two cars was faster. Now, immediately, the Stinger, I think, feels much more in control. It's much easier to handle, and the back end isn't as likely to flip out. And as you can see around that corner, we were much flatter. However, we were still going at quite a low speed because this car is still prone to spinning out. I only lifted off for a split second around that corner, whereas in the Coquette, I really did have to lift off for quite a while. And I didn't even lift off at all around that corner. Once again, I just want to highlight what am I doing with my words? I want to say how amazing this car sounds. This is literally the best sounding car in this game, and no one can tell me otherwise. Even the Coquette, which does sound good, this car is by far the best sounding car in this game. And braking rather early there, because the brakes on these classic cars really are not brilliant at all. So I'm very, very tentative in both of these cars when it comes to controlling them. So, and then up this final hill, I do think the Stinger does lack pace a little bit compared to the Coquette, as we proved in the drag race. However, I do feel that it is slightly better in the corners. We're a little bit quicker in that corner, and I am much more aggressive and attacking as I sort of fly the car up these last few corners. Even we get a little bit of a drift on there. That was much easier to control than any of them sort of maneuvers in the Coquette. And now we are round and onto the final corner, and we get a pretty decent drift on there for a little bit, and then across the line. And there you can see we have got the 2 lap times. We have the Coquette in a 1:59 and the Stinger in a 2 minutes 4, and there's pretty much a 5-second a lap difference. That is ridiculously different. So yeah, if you did enjoy, please do leave a like and subscribe for more. I've been Angry Gamer Online, and I will speak to you in a bit.